because a lot of people, including myself, I'll say that relationships should be rooted in friendships. How are you able to tell the difference when a relationship should just remain as a friendship, or if it should push forward into like a romantic relationship?
Well, I think we talked about this one time before. Like, I'm not big on dating. Like, you don't date your friends.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's like being a parent, right? You are not your kids' friends. You're their parent. Even though you do stuff with them that might be friendly, when it comes time for you to step up and be the parent, you have to step up and be the parent. When you have employees at work, right? When you run a company, that doesn't mean that you're not cool with your employees. But when it comes time, when you got to step up and be the manager,
yeah.
When you got to step up and be the supervisor, when you got to step up and be the boss, I don't like that term boss, but when you got to step up and it's time to be an authority figure, you have to be able to do that. And the same thing in a relationship. Like yes, you are friendly with your girlfriend, but when it comes time for you to step up and be her man, when she needs you to be a man for her, you have to step up and do that.
So it seems like you collide all of this together, because those are different type of relationships. And then even in a relationship, why can't you be friends with your mate and then still as a man, you step up when you're supposed to step up, and y'all still are in this place where y'all can be friends? And
right. Because see, what you're doing is you're placing in the hierarchy of what's important, you're placing your friends over everybody else. You think that friendship outweighs all of that. It doesn't outweigh it. It just makes it different. So again, just because somebody's not your friend as your boyfriend or as your man or as your husband, that doesn't mean that somehow your friends have a better place in your life. Somehow you do stuff with your friends that, they have a more special role in your life than your boyfriend. That's actually the opposite of the way it is. Like, everybody doesn't get the title of boyfriend or husband.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't get the title. I mean, I'm around women all the time, but not every one of them is going to get to be my girlfriend.
Yeah.
So that is a special title that you give to somebody who you feel that way about. So it doesn't mean that you don't do friendly stuff. It doesn't mean I don't do things with my girlfriend I do with my friends. However, in the hierarchy, my girlfriend is going to take precedence over my friends.
I definitely agree with that. I think when last time we were talking, the disagreement was how I was explaining, I can talk to you, like say if we were going together, I could talk to you just like I talk to my friends.
You can.
And you would know the same level of stuff as them.
But the perspective that you're looking for from me is going to be different than what you're looking for from them.
Yeah, I would say so.
And it should be.
Yeah, I would say so.
Right.
But as far as like what they know, what you know, it'd be the same unless it's just certain parts in our relationship that they have no business knowing. And then even with my friend.
Again, there's things that you're going to talk to your man about that you're never going to tell your friends.
But you still my best friend, though.
No, I'm your man.
You my man and my best friend.
I have a best friend.
Well, that's you. That's okay.
Everybody got a best friend. You got a best friend, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's a girl or a guy, you have a best friend.
But what's wrong with my man being my best friend, too?
Because he's your man.
But he can be both.
Everybody,
it's your girl, DJ with Playing But Keeps Dating app and podcast. And today I have a special guest, Shuvar. He does a lot of things. He is a man of many hats, but we'll just name a few.
Have a hat.
He is a fashion consultant, a mortgage broker. He's an entrepreneur. He's an actor. Just does it all. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. Thank you for coming on the show. So you are here for Dating Chronicles, where you tell a funny, crazy, or lesson learned dating story. But before we dive into all of that, I like to learn about all of my guests. I just named a whole bunch of different things about you. Tell us what you have going on out here in these Atlanta streets.
Just trying to stay cool in these hot Atlanta streets, boy.
It was hot to you today?
It's cold out there, actually.
It was freezing this morning.
Man, these streets of Atlanta get cold. But anyway.
It did warm up a little bit, though.
It did warm up. It did warm up a little bit. But, I'm just here, man. I just live, I do all the stuff that you said.
Yeah.
I do acting. I've been doing comedy for over 10 years. Stand-up comedy.
Okay.
Also work in real estate. I've been in the real estate business for about 20 years. I do also do the fashion thing, like, I help style people sometimes.
Okay.
I know I'm looking a little rough, but I had to throw this on.
I like to cut it out.
But anyway, I do help style people sometimes.
Okay.
And then also, if you're looking for, luxury designer items, I can help you to get those at a discounted price. Couture never goes on sale, but we're gonna help you find it.
Okay.
And my regular job, I work in consulting.
Okay.
So, the human capital, I don't like that term because I know where that term comes from, but that is the term for the industry, human capital, human resource industry. I am a consultant in that industry. So.
Got you. Out of all those things, what do you like doing the most? What do you think sparks your creativity the most?
Well, the thing about it is, I feel like everybody's an artist, right? So I like to be able to create. I like to be able to create my art. I like to be able to pursue excellence. I feel like you should pursue excellence in everything that you do. So I can't say that any one of those are like a something I love to do. If you ask me which one would I do for free if money wasn't money wasn't an object, all of them. I love being able to with the business part, right? I love being able to walk into somebody's business and help them to grow and scale. Especially when you're dealing with our businesses and the human capital part of it, because I don't think that a lot of companies understand how important the human piece of your organization is. For years I worked in marketing and I sold marketing. And when I got into doing human capital management, I realized how important the employee is to the company, because you can have the greatest product in the world, you can have the greatest marketing in the world, but if you don't have the people in place to be able to serve that to the people, you won't ever make no money and your company will go away.
That's true.
So I would say it's as important, if not more important, to put your resources into your people than it is to even put it into the marketing.
Got you.
So, I'm passionate about that, but I'm passionate about real estate. The great thing about, working in real estate, I've been able to, help people buy their first home. I've been able to help people to, turn their home into an investment.
Yeah.
I've had people say stuff like, hey, you saved our marriage because you were able to come in and, show us how to properly invest the equity we had in our home to relinquish our bills. And the finances what was destroying our marriage. You know what I'm saying? I've had people say, I can send my kids to college now. I can open my business now because you showed me how to leverage the equity in my home. Or that feeling you get of helping people get into their first home.
Yeah.
I had a deal a couple years ago where, and I always use this as a dating story. I had a guy call me and he said, yeah, man, me and my wife, we're thinking about buying our first house. Okay, cool. So we go through the whole process. And so I talked to his wife, but I had never met her in person.
Okay.
Right? Because, she had to send over like pay stubs and stuff like that. So I talked to her, but I never met her in person. And found the house. She didn't even come look at the house. Right? So when we get to the closing table, she says, oh, wow, yeah, I finally get to see the house. And I was like,
oh, wow.
I thought you took everybody to see the house. Like, y'all had the key. She was like, no, I've never seen the house. I said, well, how do you know you're going to like it? She said, because my husband is getting it for me. I told him what I want, and I have faith in him to know that he's going to be able to get the house that I want. And what's crazy is they moved in the next day, and she called me. She said, I told you he was going to get everything I wanted. She was like, he even got some stuff that I didn't tell him that I wanted because they just knew each other that well. So, there's an art and there's a beauty to everything. Like, everybody can't do business. Yeah. Just like everybody can't sing.
Yeah.
But it's a blessing when you can do both, But so when you talk about what's my favorite thing, I would say it would be putting my art into, my passion into whatever I'm doing at the time.
That's dope. So would you say your passion overall is to serve and to serve people?
I would say that my passion overall is to pursue excellence and success. And in doing so, you will serve people, because you can't be successful if you're not serving other people.
Got you.
The more people you help, the better your life will be in turn. I can't remember the actual quote, but there's a quote that says something like that. But there's a quote that says, to the effect of, the more people you help, the more successful you'll become.
I definitely agree with that. Okay. thinking of your own life, because you sound extremely busy with all of your endeavors, how do you even squeeze dating in?
Ooh.
We can even piggyback off of after you answer that. We can even piggyback off the show that you were on.
Right.
I'm wondering, did you audition for that show and do the show to assist you in kind of squeezing dating into your life?
No, it wasn't that. So at the time I did the show, I was working from home.
Okay.
So I was able to do both the show and my job.
Okay.
That was the fortunate part for me. There was a couple people who, like, they put their business to the side while we were there.
Oh, wow.
Which is, that shows a lot that, somebody's willing to put their business to the side like that. But for me, I was able to do both. And I guess it's kind of like my life. I've been able to do both. I've been lucky enough to be able to be in a position where I can kind of do the things that I want to do and the things that are work. I'm real big on creating a life that you don't need a vacation from.
Yes.
Somebody told me a long time ago, like, if you can find passion in your work, then it'll never actually be work.
Got you.
So when you say, am I too busy? That's a part of my life. Like, that's a part of me living every single day is, the dating, but it's also work and it's also business and it's all about, just living the best life that you can live.
Got you. So for men who say that they are too busy to date, how would, because it sounds like you would fit in that category as well, but you do your best to make time. How do you prioritize dating?
Well, this is what I know. People make time for what they want to make time for.
That's true.
And I don't care who the man is. If he wants to pursue you, he will.
Got you. Okay.
And if he doesn't, he don't. But see, that's the hard part right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I had learned that lesson myself. Is like, I think a lot of times, a lot of us, men and women, part of our issue is we consistently pursue people who aren't really interested in us. I think we talked about that before where I said, you know what it feels like when somebody's interested in you. And you also know what it feels like when somebody's not really into you. So I think a lot of us, we spend so much time trying to make somebody do something that they was never going to do anyway. And that's how you end up in those situations.
Okay. I want to piggyback off of, tell me a little bit about the show and how it came about.
Okay, so for those that don't know, I was on a reality TV show with Kirk and Tammy Franklin. Mm-hmm. The concept was they took 7 guys and 7 girls. They put us all in a house together. It was kind of like The Bachelor. So they had like a main bachelor. He had 6 women there for him. They had a main bachelorette, and she had 6 guys there for her.
Okay.
And we lived in the house together for about 4 weeks.
Okay.
The whole show was probably about 6.5 weeks, but we lived in that house for about 4 weeks. And the purpose was to get to know the person that you were there for, but they also want to see the interaction between yourself and the other people in the house. I think it was a good microcosm of Atlanta.
Got you.
And really dating in general, but especially here in Atlanta, because I feel like everybody was represented.
Okay.
In that show. You had entrepreneurs, you had people that worked in corporate, you had people that grew up in, certain neighborhoods, but you had people who grew up in other types of neighborhoods. So I think everybody was represented in that show.
Got you. And tell me a little bit just about your personal experience on the show.
It was cool. I would say I would do it again. I would say I learned some things about myself while I was there. My personal experience, I tell people, it's like, until you're in that situation, you can never really say what you would or would not do. Like, we watch reality TV, and reality TV, this is what I learned about reality TV. It's not scripted as much as it is guided.
Got you. Okay.
So it's a lot of improv. It's a lot of, there might be times where the producer might say, oh, go back and say that again. But really, it's just them putting you in a situation and seeing how you're going to react.
Got you. That's what I was going to ask. Do the producers be antagonizing people and making them act crazy on the show?
So here's what one of the producers said to me, because everybody's like, oh, I don't want my image. I don't want people, thinking this or that about me. These cameras are here.
Yeah.
If you don't do it, we can't use it. People are only going to do what they're comfortable doing in front of a bunch of cameras because it looks just like this all the time. 24 hours a day, there's a camera in your face, and you know that camera is there. So if you do certain things, you knew the camera was there, right?
Got you. Okay, so I'm assuming on your show you didn't experience what I said, because I know reality TV stars will, after they've recorded and all that stuff, they'll say the producers will try to like spark up stuff to get like interesting scenes and try to get ratings and things of that nature.
I think there were certain situations on the show where, yes, the producers were like, okay, we're going to do this to see how they react to it. But your reaction is your natural reaction. They're not telling you, go in there and fight that girl. That's not what's happening. They might put you in a room with somebody that you don't like, and then your personality takes you to fight that girl, but they didn't tell you to go in there and fight her.
Okay, well, that's a good explanation.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, we know that this girl and this girl don't like each other. Yeah. They both hot-headed. They both got a hot temper. We're going to put them in a room together.
Gotcha.
So, you know what I'm saying? That's your personality that takes you to fight somebody.
True.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They might have put you in a situation, but you also know these cameras are here.
Got you. So it's up to you in order to make the decision. Okay, got you. Now, thinking of the lessons that you've learned, what would you say are 2 or 3 lessons you learned while recording the show?
One of the first things I learned, because people will say, oh, you know, where did y'all film at? We filmed in this really beautiful house. Like, it was probably, I think it was like 25,000 square feet. It was huge. It was like marble everywhere and like gold fixtures, and it was like this super dope pool in the back, and like they had this huge, like, you know, 1/4 acre yard, or probably an acre yard, and really nice house. But the fact that we could not leave, it started to feel like a prison. So what I learned is that no matter how beautiful that building was, you know, when you don't have control over your accessibility, it still feels like prison. So, you know, that in itself can speak to a lot of relationships, because a lot of people who I know, they're in these beautiful relationships online, but when you like know them in real life, it's like, no, they've been going through some bull. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But if you looked at it from the outside, you would say, oh, wow, look at this big, beautiful house that you got to live in for 6 weeks. Yeah. You know, but you can't leave. There's cameras everywhere. You're constantly being recorded. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Like, it started to feel like a prison. And then the thing I learned about myself, I would say that probably what I thought I wanted wasn't necessarily what I wanted, or maybe I didn't want it the way I said I did. And then also, it really made me realize some of the mistakes I've made, you know, in trying to date.
Got you. Okay. What did you think you wanted that you probably don't now?
I'm not gonna say that I don't want it now, but well, you know, I do still want. I do still want to be in a long-term relationship. I do still want to be with somebody, but I want to be with somebody who wants to be with me.
Got you. So, do you feel now you have more realistic? Is it standards you would say, or? Well,
see, I'm not big on like, oh, what's realistic, you know, because realistically, statistically, I shouldn't be here. You know, I mean, statistically, I am a black male, born in the 80s, who didn't grow up with his parents, and I was born in the worst part of Brooklyn. Yeah. So statistically, I should have been dead when I was like 16 or something. I don't know what the actual statistic is, but statistically, I shouldn't be here. Statistically, or I should be in prison. So the whole what's realistic is, well, I mean, what's realistic? Like, you know, they tell little black boys that all the time, like, you're not smart. You can never do this. You can never have that kind of job. Yeah. You can never go to this kind of place. The only thing that you got is rapping and playing basketball, which is nothing wrong with rapping and playing basketball if that's your gift. Yeah. But what I'm saying is they tell a lot of us that those are the ways that you can make it out. You know, even the concept of making it out is, you know, that's problematic. Yeah. But statistically, I shouldn't even be here. Gotcha. Right? Statistically, a lot of us shouldn't be here. So I'm not really big into the whole what's realistic, you know, because.
What's realistic for you? Like you just made a comment earlier where I always look in the gray areas of it. You made a comment to the effect of, I'm trying to remember it. Now it's leaving me. It had something to do with the treating somebody. No, it's something to do with basically we tend to want to be with the person I guess you have to kind of work hard for versus, you know how it feels when somebody wants to be with you versus when somebody doesn't. Right. And I'm in the gray area with that because there's narcissists and all of that stuff who will love bomb you and stuff. Sometimes you don't. So I'm in the gray area with that. So it seems like you have realistic standards towards you. But go ahead.
Because you talked about love bombing, right? So yes, you're 100% right. There are people who are here who specifically will try to make you feel good.
Yeah.
Right? But you also know what love bombing is too.
Some people do. Some people don't. I literally was talking to this lady at a conference the other day who started crying because she ended up getting with this man who he love bombed her, but she thought he was the real deal.
Right.
But then they get into the marriage and everything's totally flipped and he wants to leave her and she's the worst thing ever. But
people always say the devil is in the details. Because when people love bomb you, they'll love bombing you to make sure that you don't see other little stuff that they're doing.
Yeah.
And when you really look at it, even though you might say, well, this person was doing blah, 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 and blah. But at the end of the day, you knew that they weren't doing these things over here. It doesn't matter what they really did. What they were doing, what they were not doing says a whole lot more about how they really felt about you.
I agree.
Because I would rather be called a fool than a victim. Because a victim means that you didn't have no control over what happened to you. But everybody can make a mistake. And you have to forgive yourself for your mistakes. So, and move on past those.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
So, yes, people will love bomb you. But if you're so focused on what they're doing for you, you look at the stuff that they're not doing for you. Because you know what you want and you know how you want to be treated.
Right.
And usually when somebody is love bombing you, they try to do everything that's right. Everything is textbook, everything is supposed to be done. But that's not what makes a relationship.
Yeah.
What makes a relationship is when you know somebody and you do the things that are important. I always use the example when we was on the show, right? One of the guys bought the Bachelorette some flowers, right? Which on the surface is like, oh, he bought her flowers. How nice. She only likes flowers. So here's the thing. Now, initially, if you don't know that about her, right? Then, okay, I bought you some flowers. However, we had 3 weeks to talk to this girl before we even had the opportunity to even do that for her.
Right.
So how did you not know that she don't like flowers?
Got you.
My point in saying that is, it's not about what you do because they can buy you flowers every day, but if you don't want flowers, what difference would it make?
It don't make none. Then you got some men who will, and then I want to circle back to my question because I definitely agree with you as far as what's realistic, but I feel like we have our own terms of what's realistic and what we want. And did we have any, like, I can think for myself, in the past, realistically, for me, I felt like I did have to work hard to gain a relationship because I felt like I had to earn it. It didn't feel good when a guy just gave me.
Why not?
Because I wasn't used to it. If I peel back the layers of childhood, I saw hardship in relationships. So that's what I identified with. So that's something I could say that's changed for me. And I don't know if you've had any revelations like that while you were on the show, because you said you learned, you did learn some things that you thought you wanted, but you didn't.
Well, I'll say that not even just because of the show, but even just recently and so really a lot of the stuff I learned about myself came after the show.
Yeah.
And I say that because, you work hard to get to certain places and you expect people to, you expect the people who were there during that time of you working hard to celebrate you.
Right.
And then when you get there, it's not the type of celebration that you thought it was going to be. I think that's why you see a lot of celebrities, they're not around people who they knew before they became celebrities.
Yeah.
Not saying I'm a celebrity, but I'm just saying that people who actually make it. Like people who go to those heights, it's hard to still be around those people because, the level of celebration may not be there, or you just find out a lot about how people really feel about you. And one of the things that I definitely learned over the past year and while I was on the show, was that I definitely let stuff go on way longer than it should.
I can relate. Yeah.
You know, there are absolutely situations that I should have, first of all, I should never have been in, but that I'll take the blame for that, right? And definitely should have cut off way sooner than I did, but I didn't. And again, I'll take the blame for that too.
Got you. Let me ask you another question. How did you get to the point where you were able to take accountability and not stay in like the victim mindset for too long? Especially if you're somebody who poured into a relationship. Sometimes it's hard to just not take to take accountability for your part and be able to move on. Like, how did you get to that point for you?
Well, for one, I've never been big on the victim mentality anyway.
Not even in like relationships.
Not even like in relationships.
Because I know for me, like I could say that I was like that in the past where I didn't play victim in other scenarios, but in relationships, I felt like because I poured so much into the relationship, of course the other person was wrong.
Right.
And didn't really look at the role I was playing and why I stayed so long.
Well, you know, that's why, you know, it's like watching a movie. Like, you know, who's the villain in the movie is relative to who's watching the movie. Like, sometimes you watch the movie and you root for the villain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing about it is like, if you were to ask that other person, they could probably point out everything that you did wrong.
Yeah, I learned that. I did.
So, you know, but when I got really, really big on accountability was after me and my ex-fiance broke up. I kind of went through this whole little phase of, I you know, like everything was her fault. But really, you know, when I think about it, there was a lot of stuff I could have done different. I will say that no matter what I would have done, that situation probably never would have worked because we really never should have been more than friends. But there were things I could have done differently.
Got you. Let me ask you this, because a lot of people, including myself, I'll say that relationships should be rooted in friendships. How are you able to tell the difference when a relationship should just remain as a friendship or if it should push forward into like a romantic relationship?
Well, you know, I think we talked about this one time before. Like, I'm not big on dating. Like, you don't date your friends.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's like being a parent, right? You are not your kids' friends. You're their parent. Even though you do stuff with them that might be friendly, when it comes time for you to step up and be the parent, you have to step up and be the parent. When you have employees at work, right? When you run a company, that doesn't mean that you're not cool with your employees. But when it comes time, when you got to step up and be the manager,
yeah.
When you got to step up and be the supervisor, when you got to step up and be the boss, I don't like that term boss, but when you got to step up and it's time to be an authority figure, you have to be able to do that. And the same thing in a relationship. Like yes, you are friendly with your girlfriend, but when it comes time for you to step up and be her man, when she needs you to be a man for her, you have to step up and do that.
So it seems like you collide all of this together because those are different type of relationships. And then even in a relationship, why can't you be friends with your mate and then still as a man, you step up when you're supposed to step up and y'all still are in this place where y'all can be friends and.
Right. Because see, what you're doing is you're placing in the hierarchy of what's important, you're placing your friends over everybody else. You think that friendship outweighs all of that. It doesn't outweigh it. It just makes it different. So again, just because somebody's not your friend as your boyfriend or as your man or as your husband, that doesn't mean that somehow your friends have a better place in your life. Somehow you do stuff with your friends that, you know, they have a more special role in your life than your boyfriend. That's actually the opposite of the way it is. Like, everybody doesn't get the title of boyfriend or husband.
Yeah. Everybody
doesn't get the title. I mean, I'm around women all the time, but not every one of them is going to get to be my girlfriend.
Yeah.
So that is a special title that you give to somebody who you feel that way about. So it doesn't mean that you don't do friendly stuff. It doesn't mean I don't do things with my girlfriend I do with my friends. However, in the hierarchy, my girlfriend is going to take precedence over my friends.
I definitely agree with that. I think when last time we were talking, the disagreement was how I was explaining, I can talk to you, like say if we were going together, I could talk to you just like I talk to my friends.
You can.
And you would know the same level of stuff as them.
But the perspective that you're looking for from me is going to be different than what you're looking for from them.
Yeah, I would say so.
And it should be.
Yeah, I would say so.
Right.
But as far as like what they know, what you know, it'd be the same unless it's just certain parts in our relationship that they have no business knowing. And then even with my friends.
Again, there's things that you're going to talk to your man about that you're never going to tell your friends.
But you still my best friend, though.
No, I'm your man.
You my man and my best friend.
I have a best friend.
Well, that's you. That's okay.
Everybody got a best friend. You got a best friend, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's a girl or a guy, you have a best friend.
But what's wrong with my man being my best friend, too?
Because he's your man.
But he can be both.
Then why don't you date... Okay, so is your best friend a guy or a girl?
Right now?
Right now.
Yo, everybody's kind of like, I don't look at it that.
But do you have somebody who you feel like that is, out of all your friends, who you feel like is like, that's my dog, that's my partner, that's my ace?
Yeah, a woman.
Okay, that's a woman. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, well, you don't date women.
No.
Okay. Have you ever had a guy that was like that?
Yeah.
Why didn't you date him?
Why didn't I date him?
Right.
I've dated a couple of them, actually. Not all of them. See what I'm saying? I'm the wrong person to talk to on this subject.
So I'm asking you. So look. Yeah. Okay. So you dated a couple of them, right?
Yeah.
So when you were best friends with these guys, right? Because you had other guys that were your friends too, right?
See, but I think those motives are wrong. This is when I was younger, though. So I can't even use those as...
So what was the motives?
See, my motives were driven by... When I was younger, I think my motive... Like, I was close to them, I got cool with them, but I think I liked them. I still liked them initially, and then we ended up kind of dating or whatever. So that's why I don't think those...
So you never intended to be their friend in the first place?
That was back in the day, but now my views are different. They are. Like, am I not allowed to expand and change?
You are allowed to expand and change.
Am I not?
But what I'm saying is, even then, the guys that you're talking about that were your best friends, like I have female best friends.
They were really good. Yeah, I would say they were really good friends. Or I will say I was more of, if I'm honest about those situations in the past, I think I was more of a best friend to them, and they were friends.
So they never really intended to be your friend in the first place.
I think they probably did, and then just grew to something else, and we just weren't compatible from the get-go. Like, if I'm really thinking about it. So that's why I say I'm probably the wrong person to try to prove you.
No, because I have, like, most of my friends are women, right?
Yeah.
My best friend is a woman.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I have no intention of doing anything sexual with her, ever. And not only that do I have any intention of ever doing anything sexual with her, I have no intention of ever pursuing any kind of relationship with her. Outside of us being friends.
Is it because y'all just aren't compatible on that level? Is that what you come to realize? Because that's why I'm just trying to see, like, for people who have the mindset of, oh, my man should be my best friend, or my woman should be my best friend.
When I met her, or when I met, really, I have three women that I spend most of my time with. Okay. That are my friends. When I met each one of them, it just never was that. It just never was anything more than like, this is just my cool ass homegirl. I never like looked at them that way. I never like, and not that they're not attractive, they're very attractive. Yeah. But it just never was like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so do you nothing about them says there's somebody I want to date.
Gotcha. So would you say those people who think that way, that a person,
you probably,
are they immature in a way? And
I'm not gonna say you're immature, but I'm gonna say that you're not being honest about the fact that you really kind of like this person a little bit more than what you're saying. Because I've been in that situation too. Now I have been around some women who I said that's my friend, but really I kind of was liking that girl. You see what I'm saying? Okay. And those situations were different than the women who I'm talking about right now that are my best friends.
Got you. Okay. I'm gonna ponder on this.
No, I bet you.
I think you proved a better point this time than last time we talked about this. But I do still believe that your man, right now, how I stand,
I bet you do.
On it, my man should be my best friend. So that's just what I think. But
I'm gonna drink my water.
Oh, I thought so.
And mind my business. Ain't that what it say? Drink water and mind my business.
Don't do that. It's a podcast. You can ask questions. Okay, we're gonna dive into these questions. How do you know when you are ready to be in a relationship, not just dating or dealing with someone, but an actual relationship?
I think I've been prepared to be in a relationship for a long time. You know, I think that now I'm in a place where I don't know how much I want to be in a relationship anymore. But there was a time where I really used to want to be in a relationship. Like I used to really want to be with somebody, have somebody. And I'll say that even now, like I do want somebody I can call my own.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's a beautiful thing to be able to have somebody who you can call your own. I think I've gotten old now and I'm just set in my ways. And, you know, my level of wanting to compromise isn't there anymore. And you cannot have any kind of relationship, whether it's business, friendship, you know, or romantic, whatever. If you're not willing to compromise, there ain't gonna be no.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I will say that when I was younger, I was a lot more willing to compromise on things. Whereas now I'm just kind of like.
What kind of things when you think of that you don't think you would compromise for if you met somebody?
I don't like nobody in my house.
I don't blame you.
When I leave the house and I come home, I want the stuff sitting where I left it at. But no, seriously, like, you know,
I know I won't compromise my peace anymore. Like,
and I think that's what I really mean. Like,
yeah,
you know,
like you really gonna have to come in peaceful. Like, I don't need no chaotic person. I don't need nobody with a million problems that you drag me back in my codependency mode, and I feel like I gotta solve. Like, I don't want none of that.
I think after my last little situationship, which never should have existed, but did exist, I looked at my life. Like I was like, yo, over the past 10 years, this is what I have done with women, right? And I'm like, I'm not doing that no more.
Yeah.
And the accountability that I placed on myself, you know, I really found a lot of peace in that. Yeah. Like I found a lot of peace in being like, you know, I'm not doing that no more. And I'm in such a peaceful place now that I don't want that to be disrupted. And I think that my desire to want to be with somebody led me down roads that I should have went down.
Gotcha. I agree with you tenfold on that for my own self. Okay. How do you show up in order for someone to feel safe enough to be vulnerable with you?
I think it's about learning the other person.
Yeah.
And, you know, because people will talk about, you know, being an empath, like it's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes being an empath isn't necessarily a good thing, right? Because being empathetic means that you take on the cares of other people.
Yeah.
Like you can genuinely see yourself in that person and you can experience their emotions along with them. As opposed to sympathy means that you can relate and you can feel bad for that person, but you don't take on their issues.
Yeah.
And on the far end of empathy is narcissism, which means that you don't have the ability to take on other people's feelings. You don't have the ability to understand other people's emotions. You know, we always talk about how good it is to be an empath, like that's the perfect thing, and how bad it is to be a narcissist. But truth be told, you need to find some balance in between the two. Wow. Like you've got to be able to find a way to be empathetic to others, but you also have to take care of yourself too. People always ask me, like, what's a piece of advice that you would give to either your younger self or to a younger person? And I always say to choose you first, selfishly, but that doesn't mean to not do right by other people, not help other people.
Right.
But you cannot help yourself if you can't help nobody else if you can help yourself.
That's something I had to learn. Yeah.
The scripture says, you know, I'll be going through the scripture.
Yeah.
There's a scripture that says, how can I remove the speck from my brother's eye if I have yet to remove the log from my own? So until you have done the work on you and make sure that you are okay, you can't, how you gonna go do something for somebody else? How you gonna even love somebody else if you haven't found that peace within yourself to love yourself? Because again, all of that starts within.
Agreed.
Love comes from within. Success comes from within. Happiness comes from within. I tell people all the time when I'm doing my consulting work, people think that you get money and you become rich. When really you become rich and then you get money, because money is just a byproduct of success.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So you had to already be successful within yourself in order to even get that money.
Right.
Right. And that's something that goes back to what I was talking about earlier when we tell a lot of times when we get so caught up in statistics, which are skewed anyway.
Right.
I learned that in statistics in college, but all statistics are skewed. What's the old quote in statistics? 90% of statistics are wrong, or 90% of statistics are made up. But statistics are skewed, so we get so caught up in being told by the world what we should and should not be that you forget who you are inside. And if we were teaching that to our kids, like, you're successful, you're happy, you're loved, like,
right.
you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And that comes within you first. And then they can walk out into the world in love. They can walk out into the world in success. They can walk out into the world in their richness.
Yeah. Then
it would shave off a lot of the issues that we have.
Definitely agree. I needed reminders of all of that.
Yeah.
So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
What's the most invested you've ever been in a relationship?
Ugh. When you say invested, what do you mean?
What's the craziest thing you've ever done for the sake of love? Invested. Oh, you thought you was invested.
Spent the last 10 years of my life running behind women that don't want me.
10 years?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We won't go deeper into that. That's pretty wild. Okay. Last question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how scared of you of being hurt?
Well, I can't say I'm afraid to be hurt because, again, I'm not big on look, people do wrong things to people. That doesn't mean that they don't. I think I used this quote last time we talked. First of all, a fair exchange ain't no robbery, right? And you can never con an honest man. That's one of my favorite quotes. Yeah. Because honest people don't put themselves in the situations to be conned. So at the end of the day, did this person do me wrong? Probably so. However, I was there with them. And I put myself in a position, and that's okay because you can make mistakes. Call me a fool before you call me a victim, because that means I had no power. That means I had no control over anything this person did to me. Right. And if you don't have any control, you can never remove yourself from the situation. I am like a very firm believer in all men are self-made, but only the successful ones will admit that. Because it's always you. It's always what you did that puts you where you are. Like I said, I can go back and I can name every decision I've ever made that brought me to where I am today. Here's the crazy part about it. I'm thankful for those situations because there are things that if I didn't do those things, I wouldn't know. Yeah. And those things are actually they actually help me every day in my life. Yeah. And I'm like, I never would have known it if I hadn't been doing so and so. So, I think that we walk a life that is like a checkerboard where there's both good and bad. And you have to be very thankful for both the good and the bad. And learn your lessons from the things that you've done in the past so that you don't continually repeat those lessons. Because the universe will continue to give it to you up until it'll remove you. Right. Until you learn. I use the analogy as like when you got pulled over for speeding, but you had been drinking. And they said, oh, we're going to let you go this time. Then you get pulled over again and you get a ticket, but you get a ticket for the speeding. Yeah. Then you get pulled over and you get a ticket, you go to jail for the DUI, right? Yeah. Then you go back out the next time they take your license from you. Well, next time you got to spend 3 years in jail. The next time, you see what I'm saying? Like, how far do you have to keep going before you realize, like, oh, the universe has been trying to warn you this whole time about where you was going to end up if you didn't stop doing this particular behavior. It's the same thing in relationships. Like, the first time you got with somebody and they treated you like this and it didn't go right. Because we can say, oh, I don't have a type, but then you look at our exes and they be like Sprite, Mellow Yellow, 7-Up, man, Sierra Mist. Because when you walk into a restaurant, they ain't got no Sprite. What they say, well, is Sierra Mist okay? Yeah, I'll take Sierra Mist. You see what I'm saying? It's never like Sprite, Coca-Cola, orange soda. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, the point is you'll continue to get those situations until you finally decide to make a change in what you're doing. So when you say how afraid are you of getting hurt, I'm not dealing in being afraid. I'm not dealing in fear. I am always walking in love and success towards what it is that I want. However, if I know not to go down that road, I'm not going down that road again.
Got you. I was going to ask you to leave us with some words, but you just gave us a whole another gem. So let me ask you this. Where can the audience find you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram.
Okay.
Shuvar for the people.
Okay.
SHUVAR, the number 4 the people.
Okay.
And that's pretty much me on all social media platforms.
What projects you got going on?
Well, I got the credit thing that I'm doing. I'm working on I'm working on this this credit Bible of sorts.
Okay.
That's going to be able to help people to repair their credit, learn about business credit, learn how to elevate themselves that way. I have the book that I'm working on. It's going to be my first crime novel.
You got to go into detail about the crime novel real quick.
Well, so it's like a history of a family, right? It's a series, and I wanted to kind of be like The Godfather.
Okay.
You know, that concept of following, you know, a hierarchy or a lineage of, you know, from beginning to end. But I plan to skip around in mine. Like, you know, the first book I wrote happens in the 2000s. Then I might go back to the 80s, and then I might go to the 60s, and then bring it back to today, and how all that's interconnected.
Yo, that's gonna be so.
It is going.
So dope. Yeah. I'm excited for you to release that.
That's gonna be dope. You know, and then I'm also working on a series with some of my former showmates, former castmates. We're working on a series right now that we're gonna release in a few months. And it's going to be dope.
Okay, I know you can't tell us too much.
Not yet.
That. Okay.
But it's coming.
All right, bet.
Watch my page.
Well, I'm going to have all of those links in the show notes with all the links to find you on social media because the website with the credit repair, is that up and running yet?
It will be up and running by this weekend.
Okay, so then I'm going to have the link to that as well. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, I appreciate you for having me.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for dropping all of the gems. Thank you for your time. I want to thank all of the listeners for tuning in. Don't forget to download the dating app Plan for Keeps. And until next time.